welcome to another edition of Circle Time, the Early Years podcast. I'm Glenn Denny. Now, my guest on this edition is a highly experienced nursery manager who goes above and beyond to support and coach other managers to be the very best. Welcome to the podcast, Lorraine Kara.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Now, leadership, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? I mean, I suppose as well, there's that kind of slight turn of phrase now. We've gone from just management to leadership as well. So, where's all this? Where does it go? What is the difference between leadership and management, I suppose?
I think management, and we do this every day, is all the things that we have to do, the necessary, the budget, the planning of the day, the getting the stuff into position, making sure that the ratios are being met, all of those day-to-day running of the nursery, I would class as management, getting the tasks done, the budgets, all those exciting elements of the job. But when it
Mhm.
comes to leadership, I think that is where the fire, the passion of like maybe coaching and mentoring your colleagues onto your growth. So probably like teaching someone something new that they didn't know, or even just bringing out some magical skills from them that they had, but they just weren't being showcased a lot, and just empowering someone. So I think that is where that leadership element comes in. And also when you actively take part in the things that you want to happen, so you role model, and I think that and the people follow from that. So that's where my leadership aspect is.
Yeah, I mean that does make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I suppose I'm one of those people. I mean, I've been doing early years for about 100 years. Like it's a running joke of mine. Like I've been doing this forever. But I suppose as well, it's like that. You're called a nursery manager, and you're right. You've got that day-to-day element. You've got your health and safety. You've got your safeguarding. You've got all those. I suppose, I mean, the mundane but necessary tasks. And I like the word task because you have to do them, and that's important. But the way you described it there is like, oh my goodness, I can see bits of myself in that. And I suppose I'm kind of old-fashioned in a way. I call myself a nursery manager, but actually, am I leading more?
I feel like, we have the title nursery manager, but it is so much more than that, because we do a lot of things as a nursery manager. Some days I'm a doctor, a therapist, I'm a mom, but then I'm also that role model for someone else who's just probably either joining the team or the earlier sector for the first time, or someone who's already been there but is looking for growth. So then I'm now leading them through that and showing them, hey, this is how we do this. This is how you get this done. So in that element, I'm now leading. I'm now, being this person that's setting the space for this next person to come in, and hopefully they'll fly and be better than the teacher because of the way you showed them. And I think also being a leader it's a really uh, challenging duty, because your leadership style that you give to somebody can either make or break a person. So
Mhm.
they might just allow them to grow or allow them to really resent you. And then when they become a leader, they definitely don't want to be like you. So it's that challenge.
It is, I suppose it's that balance as well. And, I've done various kind of leadership style courses and CPD, and there is about finding your leadership style, isn't there? And there's a lot out there.
There is. I mean, I have done my BA honors in education leadership. So I think my passion for leadership started a long time ago, when I did have this really terrible leader who I honestly, I knew that I did not want to be like her. So
Hmm.
it was on a day to day, we all would walk into nursery and be on walking on eggshells, because we didn't know if we were the favorite today or not. So if you were the favorite, your day was amazing. If you were not the favorite, you had the hell of a day. And so and we all were competing to be the favorite. And I knew that it was wrong, but I also wanted to be the favorite because I wanted an easy day. So,
Hmm.
it was, for me, it was that moment where I knew that that was not the leadership style that I wanted. I wanted to make sure that everyone in my team knew that they were important, they were relevant, and that they were valuable, that They all bring something unique to the team. So I think that is where I always had my mind on making sure people belong in that space. That was the goal.
Oh my goodness. Like I'm sitting here right now listening to you going, oh my God, that's me. That is me. I've had the same sort of experience where I've had somebody with a very, I'm going to put it out there, a very poor leadership style. They didn't lead. They were, and it was like you. It was like, are you going to be the favorite that day? And I usually ended up being the favorite because there was something that needed done that only
Done.
I could do. And yeah, it just, but I took a positive from that, I kind of flipped it on its head and went, that's not how I want to be. And,
Hmm.
having managed, I'm managing I'm in my second nursery now that I'm a manager of. And it's kind of shaped me, which is a positive. Some people maybe aren't, I don't know, maybe aren't that strong or they haven't got that mindset maybe that can't flip it around and go, well, okay, you've shown me how not to do it, this is how I am
Hmm.
going to do it. But I want to nurture my team, I want to keep them close. It's like it's that family element, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I honestly feel like, and I might be wrong. My teammates, my colleagues could say no, but I feel like there's a element of family, and that when you come in, you should feel comfortable as you come into work. I don't want you to dread walking through that door. So I don't dread walking into my nursery and walking into my with my colleagues, but I feel like it's because there's an element of family and an element of being allowed to be yourself. And
Mhm.
it's the same with like Family First as a whole, as a company. I joined it having so many terrible experiences already. So then I was really when you just get beaten up and you just need that space that makes you feel safe to
Mhm.
come back out and find yourself. So I think that is what Family First did for me. Is it just allowed me to find myself again and know that I was really a good manager, that I was actually valuable, that I know what I'm doing, and I just needed that. So having that and being able to be myself authentically, bring every element of Lorraine,
Yeah.
the smiling, the non-smiling, whatever it was, I was able to bring that in, and I wasn't judged for it. So for me, that was like, that is how I want to lead. And I think I try to do that with my team, because if the support I'm getting from the wider company, I want to replicate that to my team. So that
Mhm.
is just how I'm leading, or how I lead. So yeah.
Honestly, it's yeah, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes, tick, 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 yes. I mean, there was one nursery I was at, and it was there'd been a lot of change. You know what early years can be like. It can be ever
Yeah.
so turbulent, and like some days that like recruitment is like a revolving door, like day by day, and everything was unsettled, everything was unbalanced, and I was like, literally, I'm just going to put my arms around you all and I'm going to hug you and say, you know what, you're actually doing a flipping good job. And I think by doing that, I think it settled everything. And I suppose that's a trait of a good leader as well.
No. I think it really does. I just We all have hard days. We acknowledge it is a hard day. But you've done amazing in this hard day, and I appreciate what you've done. Your input was, fantastic. It leaves the staff, well, your colleagues feeling really reassured that, okay, this is the place for me, or I'm still, wanted in this space.
Mhm.
And I try my hardest to make sure that no matter how hair pulling our day is, that they still feel, that we are fine. So I may tell my staff member off for not doing something, but it's not that I'm going to be upset with them all day. I have told you what has happened, how to fix it, and then we move on. And the next time you interact with me, it's, as if we never had that telling off,
Mhm.
because I don't want to stay all day mad at you and you feel like, oh, I got told off by Lorraine today, so I'm in her bad books. Let me not talk to her. She's not going to talk to me.
Mhm.
I never wanted to be that kind of person. So if we had something I didn't like, I'm going to tell you, you're going to fix it, we're going to move on, and then we're going to get into something positive, because I think it really does have a huge impact on someone. And we are in nurseries almost the whole day for like 8 hours. Imagine someone being upset with me for that long. It's
Mhm.
so brutal, and you have to go home knowing that. But I really don't want anyone to go home feeling like, oh, Lorraine was mad with me.
Yeah.
That's not how I
And
want.
it it's like not quite triggering, but it is bringing back those memories where, yeah, I did have a manager that was just annoyed all day, and you would go home and you would cry, and it's like that's not how you want to feel. And I think what you're saying there, and yeah, is that because you're supportive, you're that caring, supportive leader, that your team matter to you. That moment where maybe a team member hasn't done something quite right, or say for example they've forgotten a nappy change. It
Hmm.
can happen. It can happen.
Yeah,
But you've spoken to them about it, and like it's how you deal with it, I suppose, isn't it? It's how you speak to somebody.
yeah. I think that's it. It's how you speak to people that I feel like as a leader, they might not remember everything I've done for them or any whatever, but they will remember how I treated them.
Hmm.
And that's for me is very important. And because for me, all the managers that were ever terrible or mean, I still remember them. And I still remember how that made me feel.
Hmm.
So I always try to make sure that I leave a space with people knowing how I made them feel. Like I made them feel important. That is key for me. I made them feel like they belong. That is important. And I can leave and you see me down the road. I hope oh my God, Lorraine, yeah, I had this really great feeling with her. That is all I want from my team.
I suppose as well, it shows with, I mentioned earlier about, we go through that phase of revolving door of recruitment. But I suppose if you are developing this strong family feel to your team, they're more likely to stay.
I hope they do. But I think it's quite a tricky thing with earliers. I know if you're not paying them a lot of money, there has to be something else that's keeping them. And I
Mhm.
like to feel like it is the manager. So if that manager is really good and treats them really well, that enormous salary is not going to really want to call me unless I'm in a really financial situation and I need that money and I'm not able to get it with your company. Fair enough. But I feel like if you are treating people well, and if you're doing that Maslow's thing of looking after the staff members,
Mhm.
meeting all their needs,
Yeah.
they will feel secure enough to stay with you. So it's all those things that I learned at uni and that I'm currently learning. I am studying for my master's degree, so I'm currently learning new things, and I'm learning every single day just about how people are, how leaders can impact people every single day and the value I play in someone's life, not just the value I play in the nursery, but those people that I'm working with, how do I impact them each day? And then they have to go home to their own families. So it's really important that I leave them not bruised or battered.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, it is. It's like it's not quite two lives as such, but it is. But it's two lives that are connected. It's like you've got your nursery life, then you've got your home life, and it's
Yeah,
like sometimes they can like merge into each other, and it's about making sure that at least the work life part is a positive experience.
yeah. I mean, it is true. Like I feel like it does. It does come together. Especially, I mean, I am a mom. I have three children, so it does have. If I'm having a really hard, stressful day, I do know that it can like impact home. If I'm really coming home and I'm still have all this negativity or
Mhm.
things on my mind, it could impact the way I interact with them. So I'm like trying to be so mindful on, taking those moments to breathe and like walk home, walk through the park so that I can, let it all out. By the time I get home, I can pick up this energy to talk to my 5 year old because 5 year olds they have a lot to say.
They do.
So you need to have some kind of energy to give to them. So I can't finish it all at work, and so it is a learning process on how to manage that my role and plus my role at home and just balance it out. So it is challenging, but I think like I'm working through that and I'm finding small things. That walk through the park has helped. So it's good.
I know what you mean. I do 4 laps of the playing field next to my nursery, and boy, does that! I just feel like I'm reset, and it's off we go again. Yeah, it's. I think it's important as well because sometimes, as a leader in a setting, you sometimes forget about yourself.
Hmm.
And
I
that's,
honestly do.
yeah, and that it's really important not to forget about you, I suppose, isn't it?
It is. I feel like I've learned that now. I wasn't very
Mm,
good at myself. I was always putting the nursery first or this first, and I never really took time to take care of me.
mhm,
So I think when anything like would happen and it was really overwhelming, it was really a challenge to like kind of process that. And I know now I have fancy words for that emotional intelligence. you know, I wasn't calling it that at that time, but you have to think about your emotions and how those emotions impact you. I mean, I know I had one of my colleagues, she actually told me one time that, Lorraine, and honestly, it was not even on my mind, but she's like, that your mood impacts the rest of us. So how you show up to work has that impact on us. And it never, like, it hadn't occurred that how much my mood plays with my staff. So
mhm,
then I started to understand that. And I think one of the key days was like we had Ofsted inspection, and you know how intense that can be.
mhm.
And we were moving, we had inadequate. So we now were waiting for this inspection. So it was a big deal. And we got Amanda Spillman come into the inspection on that day too. And we also met our new childcare specialist on the same day. But our childcare specialist was this amazing lady. Her name is Michelle Faulkner. Just amazing. So I love her. So she came in and she was like, oh, wow, wow, wow. And then we saw Ofsted is there. And so I go to the gate and I'm like, hi. And it's Amanda. And the inspector has already started talking to families. Amanda's just there to observe the inspector. And I'm
Gosh.
like, hello, Amanda. And like the inspector was like, I didn't know you knew her. I'm like, hello, I work in earlier. I'm a nerd. I know everyone that needs to be known. So I ran back in and I'm like, Michelle, you'll never believe Amanda is here. It now turned into this like girl crush day where we were just smiling so hard. It was no longer a terrible infection. We weren't panicking, we weren't scared because I was like this celebrity fangirl. I was in awe. I was like, oh my God, I have Amanda in my building. Wow. So then that energy went to my team and they were not under any pressure. They kind of just were relaxed because I feel like they saw, oh well, Lorraine's gone all crazy, why are we panicking? If she's all happy and giggly and whatever, let's just get
Yeah.
this day over. And so we got good and we were really happy. But I think it was the fact that the energy changed. I wasn't anxious, I wasn't nervous. I flipped the script and I was like really excited and just really in awe about the whole situation, that the day went like peanuts. It was just fabulous. I think the poor inspector didn't get the much of the respect that
What you
we
mean?
should have.
I've had a similar kind of Ofsted experience as well. And I suppose there was a difference in leadership styles. At the time, I was a room leader. So I wasn't quite manager, I was room leader, and it was great. But we had Ofsted turn up, and it was actually my day off. And I got a phone call. And the reason I got a phone call was because I lived 5 minutes away from the nursery. So I got the phone call and came in like to be kind of the senior person because the manager wasn't in yet. And it was like,
Ah,
all right, okay, good morning, hello. And it was that bit that because I came in upbeat and I treated I think sometimes we put ourselves under pressure with Ofsted, we say
mm-hmm.
that O word, but actually treat them as humans. And then
Yeah.
that's what I did. And then the other team members kind of joined in. And there was that bit where actually everyone almost took that deep breath. And it's like, well, if he's chilled out, so can we. Like,
Yeah.
let's just go. And at some point, I went and grabbed the inspectors and said, oh, we're off down to forest school. Come with us. And, it just everything changed. Dynamics changed. We're like, can we do that? Yeah, of course you can. And show them what to do.
Yeah, because they came to see what you're about. So I think
Yeah.
just showing them what you're about is very important. But I do understand that at that point I really understood my role as a leader, that it really does depend on how I am, and then that impacts the rest of the team. So that was like a key moment. And then when I'm now at uni and they telling me about this emotional intelligence and managers should be aware of their emotions. I'm like, ooh, so that's what we were doing. But I didn't have all those technical phrases then. I just knew that, I switched there and it was a fabulous thing. So yeah.
Brilliant. So I'm going to switch back a little bit. I'm going to
Yeah.
rewind slightly. What got you into, like you said you did your BA honours in sort of education and leadership, but why leadership? What made you want to go down that route?
Um, I always tell the story, I feel like a bit cheesy, but it was during Barack Obama's selection for manager for president, and he did this whole speech about, and it was like really I'm not saying it was a speech just targeted for Black people, but I felt like, the message was really powerful that
Hmm.
as a Black person, he said, wherever you are, you will realize that you are the door opener for that next generation. So think of the sector that you are in, and are there many leaders that look like you? And I was like, well, so far I haven't seen many that look like me. So I was like, you know what, I want to be that leader that opens the door for the next person, whether I'm physically opening the door or whether they just hear about me and someone sees me somewhere and says, oh my God, she's Black and she's a manager. I want to do that. That's fine with me. They may not ever meet me in person, but at least they seen me. So that was the thing that made me sure, no, I need to go, I need to take this seriously. And I knew that I needed to be a leader. So I was like, I need to learn everything there is about being a leader. And I went and did my first foundation degree and fell in love with the whole leadership element. And I know when you do a degree, you can move into the different parts of early years. I
Hmm.
just knew it was leadership for me. So I just stayed with leadership throughout my degree, and that's what my BA is in leadership. And I got a third class pass, but I'm really proud of it because I didn't finish school in Africa. I wasn't really the best student or anything, so for me that is like amazing for me, and I'm very happy about it. But I stuck to that passion, that goal, that I'm going to be that leader that Barack Obama told me about. And as I was sitting in that bus coming home, I felt like he was talking to me, and it was my duty to play my part. So he's the one that inspired me to go into leadership. So yeah.
That, that is absolutely astounding. I love that. Like, I mean, you're right. It's that representation as well. There's all different types of leaders and managers out there, and it's who has inspired you. And the fact that you've taken somebody as amazing as Barack Obama, and he is. I mean, why the Americans have got this crackers system where they can only sit for 2 terms, like it's bonkers. He should still be there, you know. But it's like, yes, his messages were powerful and they were strong, and they resonated with people like yourself who went, "Do you know, I can do this."
I did. I was like, yeah, okay. Honestly, I came home and I remember saying to my husband, Barack Obama told me I need to be a leader, so I'm gonna be a leader. And he just looked at me and was like, okay, yeah, when did you meet him? I was like, on the bus. I was listening to his speech and I am going to be a leader. So I signed up. I think that's very year I signed up to do my foundation degree, and I was in the class and I was like, okay, let's go. Lorraine Kara, here I come.
Oh, brilliant. Well, yeah. But it's brilliant though that you had that sort of that amazing kind of influence. But then have you stopped to think as well that you're influencing people as well? That your messages are out there, and this is one of the reasons I'm talking to you on the podcast as well. Is like your messages are out there and they're getting stronger and louder, and the representation is there, and it's important.
I am, you know, understanding the impact that I have. And I think that's why I try really hard to stay true to like who I am and to what drove me into this space. But just also making sure that I'm showing other Black females that we can be more than just whatever the stereotypes of Black females are. We can be more than that. Like
Mhm.
I know my teacher in Africa was not my favorite person. She did not like me. And I remember her telling me back then I was not married, so my surname was Thomas. And she shouted from across the room, she said, Thomas, you will amount to nothing and you will push buggies with 10 children. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to prove this woman wrong. Like, I know I am worth more than whatever her opinion is. And so for me, that was my, like, yeah, I'm going to prove her wrong. What does she know? And then, like, I know, it was a challenge, but I did it. I'm not pushing 10 buggies. I do have 3 children, but, they're not 10. But I feel like I have accomplished more than she ever imagined for me. So I did not let her words drop me and leave me down there. I actually said, no, I'm not going to do what you're saying. I'm not going to allow your words to determine my future. I'm going to be more than that. And I'm going to be better than you. So I've always tried never to speak negative on a person and always try to find the positive of that
Mhm.
person and maybe say that to them. Like I do have a colleague who is he used to be our chef and now he works in the room and he's a male colleague and I'm really proud of him and I have told him so many times that you know what you are going to make a great role model for other black boys and he laughs it off and he's like yeah and I'm like I can see that I can see the leader in you. I can see what you're going to do with other people so and I gave him this opportunity. He's now doing his apprenticeship but I feel like he's going to open the door for other males to come
Mhm.
in and especially other young black males who may think that early years is not the sector for them, but if they see him thriving, they will probably want to do that too. So I think that was just opening that door for him. And what he does with it is now up to him. But I've opened the door. So
I suppose as well, your influences have shaped the type of leader you are, which is then shaping it's an amazing game of pass the parcel almost. It's like I've taken these influences and that I'm going to say stubbornness, but it's a beautiful kind of stubbornness because I'm there as well. I've had teachers that have said the same to me. Should never read my school report, but
mine always say she's always chatting. So there you go.
doesn't pay attention. That was on mine. Daydreaming, that was the other one. If you're creative, you daydream. But it's that bit where your strong influences or sort of almost anti-influences, like those negative comments and things have spurred you on. And now you're passing that on. And that another sign of a good leader as well, that they don't just hold on to it, they share it as well.
I feel that is what a good leader is. Because if you're not able to allow others to grow, then why are you there? Because I know there's some leaders that are afraid of competition or someone being better than them, but why? Isn't the whole purpose to teach someone and make them better? I mean, we can always keep learning, but we always have to be thinking, someone else is gonna be taking over from me, and I have just opened that door, and the whole next generation is gonna do way much better than me. I mean, I think it's even from the beginning of like the Black community, it's always been to make it better for the next generation. And I
Mhm.
think that that's just what we need to be doing. Like, I feel like it's a responsibility that I then empower the next person.
It is as well, because I mean, so I can look at it. I mean, you're looking at it from the perspective of color and race, which
Yeah.
is hugely important. I kind of look at it from the gender perspective and like knowing that 2% of the workforce is male,
Mhm.
that's extraordinary. Like, everywhere needs that positive, good, solid representation and that good leadership to say, you can do this and I'll
Mhm.
help you, you know.
I think that is key. I mean, I feel that's probably why I was never afraid of having male practitioners from the very beginning. Like I've
Mhm.
always been comfortable and very excited to have their presence because again, it just brings in a whole different perspective to the setting. And also, I don't know, it just allows the children to have different elements of care
Mhm.
provided within a setting. So I'm always like encouraging males, let's get in there, let's get you into childcare, and see where you go with that. And I find like a lot of the practitioners we have I'm not saying only male are amazing, but they just really spark this fire within a setting. They just bring so much. So
Mhm.
it's really good to encourage that.
I mean, like you gave that prime example there of, and it's probably a really good example of your leadership as well, where your chef has all of a sudden moved out of the kitchen and onto the floor. It's, if he's seeing a direction or a career that is being championed by a quality leader, then, obviously people are going to follow. It's almost like the Pied Piper, isn't it?
It is. I love that story as well.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I think he he said he just because he would be in the kitchen and he would be he would finish all his tasks. So he would come out and I'll be like, go sit with the children, go and hang. And he started off in the baby room and he just was like, I love it. I love spending time with the children. And then at the end, because he was doing a maternity cover, and at the end he was like, actually, I don't really want to leave. I want to work in the nursery. I want to be, part of your team. And it's like it was really good to have him say that and to want to be part of that. So it was amazing.
Again, that's down to good leadership. If he felt supported and encouraged, then, of course he would want to stay. So, Lorraine, we're almost getting towards the end, but have you got a top tip for a leader in early years?
I would say always just try to be 100% yourself, but also just, always think about that terrible leader and try not to be that person. But just like lead, I don't know, just lead with your heart as well. I know a lot of people will say that's not really good, but I feel like when you're leading with your heart, you're going to be really true to yourself, but also true to your team and being who you are. I always try to be myself. I don't try to change for anybody because I'm going to just be doing something that's fake and I don't want that. So I will always be honest with wherever I am, however, whatever I'm doing, I want to give you 100% and I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to bring all of Lorraine into that 100%. You're going to get all of me. And that's how I lead. I mean, I think just be yourself. Be true to yourself.
You definitely summed it up there. I think leading with your heart. I mean, we're in a caring profession. We care for children, and as leaders, we care for the adults that care for those children. So, yeah, leading with your heart and being you is important. You can't be a fake you. People will see straight through it.
Absolutely.
Well, Lorraine, I'm really sad time is against us, but thank you so, so much. It has been absolutely amazing. And I honestly can't believe how much of our career stories have collided. It's like quite scary.
Well, thank you, Glenn, for have given me this opportunity. So I really am grateful, and I really will be listening out for more podcasts from you. So yeah,
That'd be amazing. But Lorraine Kara, thank you so much.
thank you, Glenn. I hope you have a good evening.